we're talking about the Canadian wildfires and the smoke that is spreading across North America. It's causing quite a problem for people breathing. Now, this comes on the tails of the event that I talked about in my live chat. I wasn't even going to do a video on that one because, frankly, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this either. But I wanted to talk about it, so you're going to get a rough video here. But this event is being described as apocalyptic or Armageddon. So they're using kind of trigger words here. Now, the event that happened that I talked about in the chat was the apartment collapse in Davenport, Iowa. And that apartment collapse was representing the model of the earth. So the apartment itself was red, and the middle part is what collapsed, and the waters were falling from above. And then they put up fences with the XX pattern for the IXXI, and in between there was a pathway or a gap. So mind the gap. And then on the other side, they put a blue tarp up representing the blue side, the side that we're on. And there was a sign on the wall that they erected that said, "We are here," indicating that this is where we are. We're in the red zone with the blue wall. So it looks blue, but we're in the red. And there was a young man who was the son of the man who was allegedly trapped under the rubble in the building. And he was sleeping wrapped up in a white duvet. So he was the son. And there was a store next to this wall that was erected that was a safe lock and key store, and I just finished making a video about keys. So this event comes on the tail of that, and these forest fires have been burning for quite some time all across Canada, and it started in the west, in Vancouver and Alberta. Now it jumped to Nova Scotia a few days ago, maybe a week ago, and all of a sudden it's in Quebec and now Ontario. So these forest fires, I saw a video by Mag Bitter Truth, and he showed a clip of the government using a helicopter to light the fires. And of course, they will argue that they're doing this in order to contain the burn, in order to control the burn. So if they burn it and they control it, then they can counteract the fires. So whatever. Like, this is a known tactic. However, one of the things that I mentioned earlier in another chat, a live chat, was that these fires are potentially electric fires caused by electricity under the ground, and it's coming up through the trees, through the roots in the trees, just like it's potentially coming up from the ground to derail these trains. But if these people who are covering it are aware that this is happening, but they don't want us to know that this is what's happening, then they would cover it up with some bullshit, which is kind of what I suspect is going on here, because the train derailments are prominent, and then they cover it with all sorts of coding, and then they have this event and they show a helicopter actually lighting the forest on fire. And this smoke is being used to spread all across North America to cover the sky for some reason. And using the term apocalyptic, or apocalypse, is a revelation. So it's referring to revelation, which is the end of the story. There is definite coding being put out about the second Earth. And that was what we were seeing with the apartment, and this is what we are seeing with this. So I'm going to play a few clips here and show some of the strange words that they're using. So if you recall, back in 2020 with the coronavirus, they were telling us to stay indoors, to wear a mask, to close all the windows, stay shut inside, to what was the other thing? Oh, they had the George Floyd "I can't breathe" situation, and they said that the next corona type event or pandemic type event would be climate change. So they're using all the same language again, telling you to wear a mask, telling you to stay indoors, telling you to shut all the windows, don't go outside, stay safe, and "I can't breathe" is another terminology or slogan. So on top of that, they mention people with heart conditions are susceptible to having breathing problems particularly. So this is what they told us was coming, and here it is playing itself out. So I'm going to play some clips and I'll mention some of the messages.
This is an unprecedented event in our city, and New Yorkers must take precaution. We recommend vulnerable New Yorkers stay inside, and all New Yorkers should limit outdoor activity to the greatest extent possible. This is not the day to train for a marathon or to do an outside event with your children. Stay inside, close windows and doors, and use air purifiers if you have them. If you are an older or have heart or breathing problems, or an older adult, you should remain inside. And if you must go outdoors.
So here he's using all of that language of stay inside, close your windows, if you have heart problems, all within a matter of less than a minute. And below here we have smoke creates apocalyptic vibe. So they're using this to create fear, but it's also tied to Revelation, which is about the great reveal.
Wear high quality masks such as a K95.
Well, we've heard multiple reports on the mask situation, because some people are saying that the particulate matter is so fine that it will still come through a mask.
Okay, so this word particulate is being used everywhere. It's driving me nuts. And let me show you here. Particulate, having the form of a small particle, taking the form of particles. Little bit or part, grain, jot. A part, piece, division, grant, a lot, from pair. A particulate substance. So when you go to pair, it says to grant a lot, to get in, return, possibly related to pair, produce, procure. It forms all of or part of a apartment. So this ties into apartment. So particulate ties into apartment. And that apartment building collapse, they were focused on the rubble or debris. And if you look back at basically any of my decodes for the past 3 years, debris was a big code that was mentioned multiple times. Depart, apart. Depart means to leave. Apart means two worlds apart. Apparatus, apparel. So in the apartment collapse, there was a rack of clothing that was prominent and everybody kept showing it, which is apparel. Emperor, empire, heifer, which is cow, which is the Bible, the double Taurus, juniper, Jupiter, viper, serpent, separate, sever. So it has to do with calf, bull, again another reference to the Taurus, separating, departing. It could reference separating people, dividing people once again. Okay.
Well, the mayor and city and state officials are saying that if you don't have to be outside, stay in, do not go out. Let's give you a look at what we're seeing down here in Brooklyn Heights. Photojournalist Scotty Pierce is going to show you the skyline from where we are. Those are not clouds that you're looking at, but smoke containing particulates and other matter that can make breathing outside a challenge.
So another reference to particulates. I mean, New York is closer to the Montreal fires than I am. I'm closer to Toronto, but we still have some really bad air quality and some coverage, but it's not this bad. We have had moments where it was really quite bad, and then the air would move and the wind would come in and blow it out of the way. So right now it's not too bad. It's quite sunny and you can see the sky.
For many. Now, city officials say the air quality in all 5 boroughs has reached alarming levels, prompting a health advisory for New York City. This, again, as you pointed out, Chris, because of dangerously high levels.
New Yorkers advised to wear masks outdoors.
Of smoke coming from Canadian wildfires thousands of miles away. Officials.
Thousands of miles. Okay, it's not thousands of miles away. New York is not thousands of miles from Montreal. It's not that far.
Say now, listen to this. The scale used to measure air quality in New York begins around 100. That's pretty normal, containing pollen and things like that. The index last night was 217 and stands the highest in the Bronx at 174 as of this morning. Officials say this is quite unprecedented.
We recommend vulnerable New Yorkers stay inside, and all New Yorkers should limit outdoor activity to the greatest extent possible.
As you come back to us live, of course, when he's talking about vulnerable, the elderly, young people, people with underlying health conditions, particularly those who have respiratory conditions that you need to be aware of. Those.
Notice they refer to the vulnerable people again. They did the same thing in 2020. Referring to the vulnerable people. They were the first to have access to the V. So again, they're saying the same rhetoric. Let's go to this one. It says over 200 wildfires burning in Canada. One report said over 100 wildfires. This one says 200. I've heard 400. I've heard 1,000. I've heard 2,000. They have no idea how many there are. It's a lot. This is just going to have a lot of catastrophic fallout.
Mount Holly, New Jersey, and take a look at the sun. The sun was the most staggering thing that I think millions of us saw as we were waking up this morning, because it was illuminated with that bright orange color. That
illuminated sun. Again, this is a reference to illumination, awakening, opening your third eye, and it's orange. Orange 33.
That was all thanks to the particulate matter that is in the atmosphere.
This is the third reference to particulate matter.
From numerous wildfires that are burning in Canada that is kind of working its way southward. So
I can't believe she doesn't know how to pronounce Canada.
So we are live right now in New Jersey. Michael Estime is joining me now to kind of talk about what we're seeing out there, because I can see a little bit of haze behind you, Michael, but at least currently it doesn't look too bad, thankfully.
Yeah, you know, that's really what the optimistic note here is. So, Kendall, when I'm breathing, I can't smell or like feel the direct effects to my respiratory system in terms of the soot that's in the air right now. However,
okay, this is kind of silly. I don't know why. It's a bit dramatic and weird. My sister lives closer to the Quebec fires, she walked outside. She just opened the door to let her dogs out. And she told me that she had come back in coughing and had a problem breathing from less than 10 seconds outside. So to say that you cannot feel the effects is not true. Here in where I live near Toronto, I went for a walk yesterday when the smoke parted a little bit and it cleared up a bit, but I could still smell the smoke in the air. I could feel the effects of it. If it was worse, I know I could feel the effects of it. So for him to say that you can't feel it is not true, but it depends on how long he's been out, the ability of him, like his breathing ability, is the power of his lungs, the health of his lungs, and how congested it is. This doesn't look so bad. I mean, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look that bad.
I was speaking with a young lady just a moment ago that was walking on by, and we had a good little chit chat, and she was telling me, and I completely concur, I wear contact lenses, Kendall, and what's so interesting is that I can feel the dryness in my eyes.
Okay.
And
This is really why I wanted to make this video. More than one, just like they mentioned the term particulates, they mentioned contact lenses more than once. Contact lenses it's like a barrier over the eye. It's like a dome or an artificial lens. So contact is also connected to aliens, so alien contact. And we're looking at the sky. So there's cloud cover protecting us from seeing the sky. And if what Mag says is true, I don't know. I mean, it's purely speculation. But he was saying that they're deliberately setting these forests on fire. But I think a lot of this is natural coming up from the ground. But they are definitely using it. Potential. I mean, they are using it. They're making a big deal out of it on the news. They're using it to cover the sky for whatever reason. But if we're supposed to merge with the other Earth, I can't believe I'm saying this stuff. If we're supposed to merge with the other Earth, then we would see it. So I can only imagine that they're trying to cover something, maybe, or they're trying to draw our attention to the sky so that when the clouds clear, we're looking up and we see the thing. I don't know. I can only speculate, but there's also been reference to keeping your eye on the sky. So yeah, I don't know.
It's just been exacerbated by the fact that we have this soot in the air that's helping to kind of promote more dryness outside. So yeah, for folks that have contact lenses and you're blinking, you can absolutely feel your contact lenses in your eyes just because of how that particulate matter is drying out the air.
Yeah.
Okay, so particulate matter, apartment, depart, apart. So the two worlds apart are coming together, then we're supposed to be seeing an eye. We'll see an eye. So contact lens is appropriate. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, Michael, that you bring up, because thankfully I don't have to wear contacts, but I do suffer from asthma. So I know that this morning when I was stepping outside, I felt it in my lungs. I felt that tightness. I also kind of felt that scratchy throat. So it's not just sensitive groups that are being impacted by.
Wasn't scratchy throat one of the symptoms of CV?
The poor air quality from the wildfire smoke. It's also everyone, because these kinds of conditions they're unhealthy for everyone to be outside for extended periods of time.
It really is, and especially for not only young children, but also for the elderly.
So they show here 200 fires active. This is Quebec over here. New York is around about or is it around about here? So it isn't that far, but we're about the same distance from Quebec, maybe a little closer, but it's just the direction that the winds are blowing that it's bringing it this way. Whereas Toronto's around here, so we don't have as many in Ontario, as many fires, but Quebec's looking pretty bad. This is looking pretty awful in Edmonton and Calgary. And then this is the East Coast here. They're in bad shape too. What doesn't make sense to me is they're saying that it's due to dry conditions, and this is early in the season. Apparently we've burned more already early in the season than the average, like the 10-year average. So we haven't even finished the season and we've already burned way more. I think it's like, I don't even want to guess what the numbers were, but they were astronomical. I had to interject here because all of the places they marked on that map showing where the fires are were major cities in Canada: Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary, Quebec. Quebec's a province, and then in Ontario, the marker was Marathon, Ontario, and the mayor of New York said now's not the time to start training for a marathon, which is an odd thing to say. It's very specific, it's very particular. So I looked up Marathon, Ontario. It's tiny. It's here in the middle, but it's tiny. Why would they pick this as the land marker for what's possibly this whole region? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, Sioux Lookout or Timmins are Thunder Bay, Sudbury. They're more well known than Marathon. So the etymology of marathon is obviously a race from the story of Greek hero, I can't pronounce that, Pheidippides, who in 490 BC ran to Athens from the plains of Marathon. Okay, so we had this train derailment in Athens not long ago. I did a video on that. And Athens is named after Athena. Athena is the goddess of war. So you're running from Athens to Athens from the plains of Marathon to tell the Allied Greek victory. There's that word again, the victory project, victory, V for victory, Nike, their victory over the Persian army. The original story, according to Herodotus, is that he ran from Athens to Sparta to seek aid, which arrived too late to participate in the battle. So is this an indicator that this is going to be a marathon? Is this an indicator? Because they keep hinting, saying that this is just the beginning. It's going to get worse. Trudeau said it was going to get worse. And I think it was the mayor of New York or somebody from New York said it was going to get worse. So they're telling us that it's going to get worse. Is this going to be a marathon of sorts? Or is this word referring to something else? The word quickly was extended to mean any very long event or activity. Here we go. It's a marathon. It could be taking a very long time. It could go on. It could get worse. What do you think marathon's referring to? I don't understand how they can say it's due to dry conditions. It's not been overly dry. It was hot for a few days, but it's been drier than this. And we've never had this many fires. So I don't understand how they're blaming this on dryness. And the East Coast is usually a little more humid because it's surrounded by water. I don't know. It just seems illogical to me. So this one says, it looks really apocalyptic. Wildfire smoke fills New York City's skies. Smells like a bonfire.
When we do these reports, you've been out there for hours on end. You're starting to feel some of those impacts, yourself. You said with your eyes. Can you kind of smell the smoke? That's kind of the reports we've been getting too, is it almost smells like a barbecue.
It literally smells like there's a barbecue or a bonfire right across the street. It's unbelievable. We were chatting with somebody earlier. She said that, you know, she had a headache after being outside for just a few moments. And you know what it's like if you've ever been around a bonfire when the smoke turns and it gets in your face, right? And it kind of makes you choke up a little bit, your eyes tear up. Well, that's kind of how it feels like here. Maybe not quite as intense, but yeah, there's certainly some aggravation.
So another reference to eyes and choking up. There were quite a few videos that were titled with choke. It's choking us, choking the US, and choking refers to not being able to breathe. I can't breathe. There was another one that was C and C, which is 33, something to do with like choking and something else. They also said it smells like a barbecue. A barbecue is the carnival, losing of the flesh, so letting go of the physical.
Happening in my eyes and the rest of our eyes here with the Fox Weather staff on hand. So it's been a rough one. It's been a rough one. We were talking with another guy who said, I was telling him what was going on. He said, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go inside. You know, he was a little bit concerned after I told him that this was all smoke, and then he put it all together, you know, the smell, the smoke, the eeriness. He was like,
it's like smoke and mirrors.
Forget it, I'm putting my health first. I'm gonna go back inside, so good for him.
Which should have been a bright and beautiful day, feel, well, post-apocalyptic.
We were on the 80th floor of my building having an event, and it was just...
What could you see or not see out of the building?
You couldn't see anything.
The haze and amber skies, a result of wildfires.
Okay, so she was on the 80th floor, couldn't see anything. I don't know if that's a code or not, but this is what the fires look like. What is this? See, this is all burnt out, and this is still on fire?
Raging out of control in eastern Canada.
I thought there was a local fire when I went outside about 15 minutes ago.
According to meteorologists, this haze is due to a slow-moving low-pressure system centered near Nova Scotia.
On the west side of that, there's all these northerly winds that are drawing down all this smoke from the wildfires that have been impacting across a good portion of eastern Canada, including Quebec.
As a result, the air quality is so bad, the National Weather Service rated it unhealthy and put out an alert, encouraging people to stay inside.
When we breathe this air, it goes deep into our lungs. These small particles and the organic matter on them can partition into the bloodstream through the lungs and then get transported through the bodies.
It's something you can feel, smell, and taste when you walk outside.
We feel it in our eyes.
So they're referring to the senses. The only thing you can't do is hear anything. But it's referring to the senses. Could be a reference to dulling the senses. When you dull the senses or mute the senses and go into meditation, and you separate yourself from the physical world, that's what we're supposed to do.
Husband's a little more compromised than I am, but he...
Yeah, I have lung issues, I have asthma, and it smells like barbecue.
Yeah. In addition to the Weather Service alerts, Governor Kathy Hochul and the state's Department of Environmental Conservation, as well as Mayor Eric Adams, warn New Yorkers to stay inside for the next few days.
I'm trying to limit my exposure outside a little bit.
What is happening? Is it the climate, or is something like what you just said? Yes, Armageddon. It makes you nervous. It does.
It's weird that these two people that they interview use these phrases. What is this? Is this climate change? It's like Armageddon. Tell me this wasn't put in her mouth. And the other woman, she said, I'm trying to limit my exposure. Nobody talks like that. People don't say, I'm trying to limit my exposure. They'll say, well, I'll probably stay inside more often, or I'll just wait inside until it's gone. You wouldn't say, I limit my exposure. People don't talk like that. So that's basically it. I just wanted to touch on this just to raise a few points, you know. It's definitely coded talk. They're talking about apocalypse. They're talking about contact lenses affecting the senses. I can't breathe. stay inside, stay safe, and wear a mask. So all of that rhetoric is back again, and it just seems like there's going to be more to come, I'm sure. It just seems like it's part of the plan. As always, thanks for listening. Hope you're having a great day. Bye for now. If you like this video, please show your support for my channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment, contribute. Contributions over $15 will receive a link to the Johnny Depp Dark Shadows material, so please be sure to include your email address. Kindly visit my website, subscribe to my backup channels, join the Discord group. All links are in the description box below. Thanks for listening. Hope you're having a great day. Bye for now.